this government in Delhi is not going to have that kind of patience, which wherein we are going to piggyback, we are going to again engage on reforms like serious. I don't think that dilly-dallying tactics is going to work with this government that sits. Nor does the young population, the massive young population in India, have that kind of patience anymore. So, which is why I believe that the moves have started to replace the United Nations relevance with other bodies, other equivalent bodies, which India sees as more democratic and more cooperative in terms of seeking reforms. Which is why the news that today I was seeing was going through was a Global South Summit. Now, this term which India is going to host this year. So when I see this terminology of Global South being used, what that what that talks about is basically excluding the West. When you say Global South, it means exclude the West. So I think December 2022 was the deadline to begin any kind of serious United Nations Security Council reforms and make India sit on the high table. The West has lost that opportunity now forever. And until 2028, there's a compulsory cooling period for India for the United Nations Security Council, even for the non-permanent membership, which means that United Nations is over. Over in the sense its relevance is totally now over. In the India won't now engage. I mean, specifically in 2022, you would have clearly observed that the Prime Minister of India, the President of Russia, and the President of China, all three gave a miss to the United Nations General Assembly in September in the United States. This is the first time all three together gave a miss to that event. And they downgraded it to the foreign ministers level, which means the foreign ministers of the three countries attended this particular event. Going forward, what I see is um, all three countries will now ask other counterparts and leaders to also not attend United Nations General Assembly. I think that's where it is heading. So the West has totally lost it. The last opportunity which it had to take India on board for some kind of a collaborative approach to where the world is moving towards. But the United States and UK did not show that kind of wisdom, which is why what is going to happen is they're going to be left out. Left out. Europe will be completely left out. United States would have some kind of relevance because of what it has at this point in time to offer to the world. But going forward, if the West does not understand that it has to move with the realities of 21st century and not drag its feet with the 18th century colonial mindset, then I think the Western population is the loser in this case. So my reading is that once the fiat dollar collapses and the BRICS currency, which comes up, which is a commodities pegged currency that the BRICS Plus is going to launch in the world, uh, Asia and Gulf will say, hey, we can't be accepting a fiat dollar or a fiat euro as payments for our real goods or crude oil or energy. What happens next is the fate of all the unipolar dollar led bodies, IMF, the World Bank, the United Nations, will be hanging, and they will have to begin negotiations on how trade is going to happen between pegged and the fiat currencies, or whether the fiat currencies should completely go, right? Once that starts trickling down to the masses in the West, what is going to happen is all the socialist freebies, which was possible because of endless printing of currencies, will suddenly vanish, which is 401k, retirement benefits, Medicaid, uh, income security, etc., etc. After which the Western masses would say, "Hey, we gave our cream jobs. We accepted a lot of Asians over here. We were very hospitable. We gave you good food, good nation, good climate. But hey, now you need to go back to your nation, because now we have to skill ourselves to that level and take the American jobs and give it in the hands of an American." So this is exactly what we are heading towards, where all the skilled jobs now US would like to give to the Americans, educate them properly, um, and the kind of temptation for the freebies which the government will not be able to issue anymore. So once that goes, the population will have to start working hard, start educating themselves to higher education, and take those higher skills and take fill in those slots of Asian immigrants, uh, and that is the way going forward. I think Americans will like to get back those slots of big paying jobs and big skills back from the immigrant Asians, and there are good chances of some kind of violence happening with uh, the skilled Asians in the West, because there will be a kind of sense of anger among the Native Americans and the Native Europeans that, hey, look, we gave you a lot, but this is what the Asia and Gulf has done to us as a country, because by not accepting fiat dollar, which is why we are losing all the government benefits now, and we have to actually work and actually study. So you got to go back to your nations. So a lot many of the NRI diaspora, I think, will pack their bags, because I mean, the government might, or the companies still might want to retain a lot of this talent, but the native population would clash with them on streets and frighten them to leave the West and go back to their nations. I think that's where it is heading towards. I've actually predicted riots already, and the year for Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, and California. So let's see. This has lot to do with the kind of economics which the fiat dollar has played in the last 50 years. So once, if if and when United States decides to repeg the dollar with real commodities, real production, gold or silver kind of precious metals, what is going to automatically happen is a lot of service sector jobs which were born, unrequired service sector jobs which were born with the 1971 unpegging of dollar from the gold standard, those jobs will vanish, which means that the Native American who are keen on indigenous method of trade, indigenous method of enterprising economy, will automatically gain prominence over urbanized America, which was a glamorized job role kind of a society, right? So the job loss is going to balance out the loss of face or the suppression of the Native Americans done by urbanized America, uh, and which is where the society would rebalance itself and the structure in terms of going towards a more traditional family value structure. I mean, you must have seen this data already, I guess, that a lot of children have started living with their parents because of the pandemic and the economic crisis. Now, this is only going to increase going forward, because the entire debt based bubble is going to burst violently, which the reserve currency created as the rest of the world parked their savings in the United States. So, once that bubble bursts, what is going to happen is the people won't be able to have low rate interest loans, which means that they will automatically have to come down to a lifestyle of staying together with a family. Some of the jobs, unrequired jobs of service sector, would be gone, as I said, which again translates into the same thing, that they will have to live together with the family. The debt bubble will burst, which again translates into lesser role of credit cards in life, which again translates to the same thing, that they will have to live with the family. So the lot of European concepts of privacy and a splitting of nuclear family and family coming down to one cat and a dog, all those concepts are going to be questioned moving forward once the fiat dollar collapses, right? Because this has become unsustainable debt mountain for the US economy to now solve in terms of almost a kind of a bankruptcy that this kind of a life spending model consumption life has created. So things will go down back to the traditional roles and traditional life and that kind of stuff.